everyone, and welcome to One on One. I'm Tony. A short time ago, we had the pleasure of having a representative of Communities in Bloom Leamington, Charlie Wright, right here in our studio, alongside with two of the judges, Hurd and Kathy Smyth. Here's Dave Hilliard with that report.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Charlie Wright. He's with the Leamington Community in Bloom. Mr. Wright, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in the Communities in Bloom?
Well, thanks, Dave. Communities in Bloom, I started hearing about when I was former deputy mayor of Leamington, and we were going to these workshops, and they were talking about these guys saying, bring out pride to your community, bring out people, plants, and pride, and it's great. Well, when over the 4 years as I was elected official, you get inundated not so much with the positive, but the negatives all the time. And with Heinz closing, it seemed like our town the sky was falling. And what can we do to say the sky isn't falling, but it is actually rising? So I looked at Communities in Bloom, and then I introduced it into council. And last year, consequently, we got that applied and approved. And it has been nothing but positive. This Communities in Bloom effort has been a way of us showcasing all the good things happening in our town. People are so easy throwing stones at targets, but this is like throwing flowers at targets. And how can you not like flowers? But Communities in Bloom is more than just flowers. It's how your community is blooming in many different ways and aspects. And there's about 6 different areas that we look at. Flowers, obviously, one, and landscaping. We also look at tidiness and environmental action. We look at heritage, and we look at forestry. So there's 6 different, you can call it pillars, and from a farming area, I like to call them silos, if there's a little pun on that. But when we look at Leamington, we look at all the good things that are happening. And people, it's like stand up and smell the roses. There is some great, great stuff happening in our town. And through this effort, I want to bring out all those good things so that people can have pride. And that we can sit there and thump our chests and say, this is the good stuff in Leamington. We're the #1 municipality of our size anywhere in Ontario. We were elected that through Money Magazine some 9 years ago. And this is another way of recapturing that pride. And so I took it upon myself to start to go through that in Communities in Bloom. Fortunately, we hooked up with the Leamington Horticultural Society, and they grabbed onto it, and we became a subcommittee of that society. And the rest is history. This is our 2nd year. We've got 2 judges that's completed a 2-day itinerary of our town, and we're looking for the results. Last year we received a 5 Bloom designated rating, which is the very highest we can get, which is, I've been told, is pretty unheard of at the first time. But that's reflective of all the good things that are happening in our town, and it's up to the people. This is a people's award. It's not my award, it's not the Communities in Bloom award, it's actually the municipality's award through council. So we are kind of a unique breed in ourselves, but our mandate is to say, listen, Leamington, we are the best, and this is why we're the best. And it's been a real pleasure the last 2 years to chairing this and actually going around and showing judges all the good things that are happening in our town. There's a lot of really, really neat stuff that I had no idea. And hopefully people can go on our website and look at the stuff that we've done, and look at our community profile book, look at our tours of Leamington, and look at all the great stuff that's happening. So that's kind of what it is, and we're just finished our 2-day judges tour, which you'll have an opportunity of talking to the judges and seeing how they think our great town Leamington, the #1 town in all of Canada.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah.
And we've got some judges here, and we're going to meet them. So we have with us Kathy Smyth from Tilbury. And you're one of the judges?
I'm one of the judges, yes. I've been involved with Communities in Bloom in at least 10 years in Chatham, Kent. I also have been with the Tilbury Horticultural Society for 17 years. And that's how I decided that I needed to get involved in Communities in Bloom. Again, like Charlie says, people, pride, and community, that's part of Communities in Bloom. You want to focus on the community, you want to bring the community together, you want to have them have the pride in their community. And this is one of the things that I thought I may help. They called for judges to come, or for people to volunteer to become a judge, and I thought, well, you know what, maybe I can do that. Maybe that's something that I can help with. And so I have come to Leamington. I have found the community very, very outgoing, ready to talk to us, ready to invite us to anything and everything that was going on this past weekend. And the committee have really made us feel welcome. And I've really enjoyed being in this community.
Great, thank you. And next we have Mr. Ray Hurd. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Background, I guess, I work alongside of Kathy. I'm a judge in the province of Ontario. I'm also connected in different ways. I'm a director for Communities in Bloom, Ontario, based out of Goderich, which is my hometown, and also a national director based out of Montreal, working with the national element. There are two elements within Communities in Bloom. Starting back in about 1995, we brought the program from Europe. It was a great program, Tidy Towns and whatever, that came from parts of different countries within Europe. And one of our founders, we'll put, saw the program, saw the impact, the positive impact it had in those communities in Europe, and said, let's bring that back to Canada. Let's work that over here. They brought it back, and as I say, in 1995, we started coast to coast with 20 some odd communities. Now we've grown coast to coast to literally hundreds of communities who are engaged. In the province of Ontario, we've probably got 30 some odd communities that are engaged. Charlie's, for example, out of Leamington, and this young lady to my left, they're extremely connected and involved in the program as well. The elements of the program are, as Charlie had alluded to, we come to the communities, and the communities prepare us for the visit by having a profile book or telling us a little bit about who they are, where they are, and what they're doing, the composition of their committee, and what prompted them to get engaged. And then we take that on a tour, which in Charlie's case in Leamington took a period of about 2 days, and we visited all sectors. We visited the commercial sector, the industries that are involved, and every time we visit, along with residences, we apply the 6 pillars, which again Charlie alluded to, the tidiness, environmental action, heritage elements, and the other elements, and we assess how they are doing within each one of those categories, not just in a segment, but we apply that to the residential sector, we apply that to the commercial sector, we apply that to industry. And what we're finding is a great synergy, a great connection, a great collaboration, I'll put it, of those segments working together to achieve great results. I'm utterly impressed with what I'm seeing as I travel across the province and Canada with the grassroots efforts that are being, it doesn't always have to be a huge corporate, but where the action really happens is at the grassroots level in the communities. And I'm totally impressed. Through this media, I congratulate Charlie and thank you for inviting us to your community. And we just had a delightful time. I will come back into this area. We're heading to Amherstburg after here and doing the same kind of a judgment on them for Communities in Bloom. And it's exciting for Kathy and I to be part of this. I told Charlie there's a sign I want to see up in his community. I can't tell you what it is, but we're going to strive, and I'm sure Charlie and his team, they're going to strive to achieve that goal, and they're well on the way. So thank you for asking.
Excellent, excellent. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the community that they're watching. They're going to be watching, and they're going to be wondering, how did our community do?
Are you asking that of me?
Yes, sir.
The announcements, maybe I'll go one step further. The communities that we judge usually during July or early August, we come to the communities, we do an analysis, and we evaluate, and then we come up with a scoring system.
Oh, so judging's not complete.
It's not complete yet. As I say, we have Amherstburg to go to next, and we'll be judging them. But we have a provincial symposium which is held this year in Perth, Ontario, which is just southwest of Ottawa. And all of these communities will be invited to attend to that symposium, at which time we have an awards ceremony and a celebration of the program. And at that time, they find out. They're on needles and
Oh,
pins.
so we can't let the cat out of the bag.
Well,
just
I can
yet.
tell you, but then I'd have to kill you if you let this happen. But no, we have that symposium, and that's the venue at which the announcements are made and the special awards are given. So it all comes to fruition in Perth later on this year.
So I guess our community is just going to have to wait a little longer for that.
I think so.
Excellent.
But we did make out 5 blooms last year, and it was a great announcement.
Well, and that's
In
why I'm
Lambton Shores.
asking. I guess
that was in
kinda,
September.
You know, there's a little bit there's a little spark of excitement inside me for this because, as Charlie said, you know, we did get a 5 bloom thing. You know, I think there's enough Leamingtonites out there that they want to keep and maintain that. And
Well, one of the things that I came across, and we had a lot of people who stepped up and volunteered their time, volunteered their places of residence to house the judges for free, volunteered energies, whether it's helping putting on a luncheon or a breakfast. It was enormous, the amount of ground-swelling support that I received and the committee members received from the people, because they want to know this is Leamington, and it's Leamington at its best, and they want to be part of that.
yeah, exactly.
And they've taken a lot of pride in knowing that we're in 5 blooms, and that they say, you know, we don't have to go to Kingsville to live, or we don't have to go to Windsor to live. We stay right here in Leamington. This is where it's at. We've got everything here, whether it's through heritage or recreation or through landscaping. We've got it right here. We've got the committees, we've got the infrastructure, we've got everything right here in Leamington. And from an outside organization such as Communities in Bloom coming here and then evaluating us as an independent and then awarding us, that's a wake-up call for every person who wants to live in Leamington or is living in Leamington, saying this community has something going. We have Point Pelee National Park that brings in hundreds of thousands of visitors every year. We have a sign out in the road. If we have a sign out in the road saying we're provincial or national Communities in Bloom champions, Communities in Bloom is not just across Canada, it's across the world. It's in every continent in this world except Antarctica. It's everywhere. We have people come to Point Pelee from Japan, from Korea, from England, from France, from Italy. Communities in Bloom is in all those countries. If they say that we're Communities in Bloom and we are a recipient of a provincial or national award, they might not know a thing about Leamington, but they do know somebody out there that's in our area said these people have got something good that is going. And for a marketing viewpoint, you cannot get anything better. It's like the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, because it didn't come from us. It didn't come from a money magazine, which has got all kinds of advertising. This is a non-profit organization who has no vested interest whatsoever. And if they say that we have got something going, we have got something going, and it is really good here. And I'm so pleased to be able to show this to people, because Leamington is the place to be.
Well, excellent. Thank you. Kathy, how did you enjoy your two days of judging? That's a lot.
It was phenomenal. Leamington has been a town where I've driven through, never really looked at things, just, okay, you know, there's some nice houses, there's some nice landscaping. We saw some excellent businesses who take pride in landscaping around their businesses. We saw some excellent biodiversity operations. We took part in the mosaic culture this past weekend, and saw how biodiverse the town is in ethnic cultures and that. And we had some fun in some of the places that we visited. We got up and we danced at the Lebanon Club, And we got the whole committee up to dance with us, and it was fun. Yes, it's an exceptional town. My first impression was the mosaic culture opening at City Hall, and that was just fabulous to see them all march in with the different flags, especially now since the Pan American Games were just closing in Toronto, and to see that, you know what, Leamington is like another Pan American Games. They have all of the different cultures coming together, working together, showcasing their town, and that was just an excellent opportunity to see.
So I guess the Communities in Bloom is more like Pan Am.
Yes, totally.
Communities in
That's
Bloom.
an excellent comparative. That's an excellent comparative.
And we're getting on the map. I
Yes.
like that.
Mhm.
That's
Yes,
beautiful.
exactly.
And not only that, it gives a little bit of Communities in Bloom, is that we held a workshop last year in a debriefing, and we tried to spread the news out to the surrounding municipalities about, listen, Communities in Bloom's got something going. And from our workshop and stuff that we did, the town of Amherstburg has now come on. That's what our judges are going to next.
Excellent.
The town of Kingsville has started one up, and they just finished having judges coming. So Kingsville's in it. Essex is in it, and they're trying to participate in the national level.
I didn't
And
realize.
Chatham-Kent is in it. So
Oh.
all the municipalities, the 4 municipalities in Essex County, plus Chatham-Kent, they're all in Communities in Bloom. And it'd be great if, let's say, Lakeshore comes on,
Yes.
or LaSalle comes on, or Tecumseh comes on. It'd be wonderful. We had 7 municipalities in Essex County, actually. But right now, we have 4 out of the 7. And we have 2 new ones, and then Essex took a hiatus for 3 or 4 years. And then they wanted to come back in. They've always been part of it but not necessarily evaluation part. But they said, well, we now want to come back on. So this is an infectious type of area, because it product sells itself.
Excellent. So Charlie, you're going to have to redouble your efforts and get those other communities on. I was always of the impression that those communities were already part of the Communities in Bloom project. I wasn't aware
No.
that they weren't.
Because of the emphasis on volunteerism, what you do get over a period of time, it runs through some kind of a cycle. The volunteers, they volunteer, they get a little older, maybe a little more tired, so you have that transition. So what you actually have is the curves and the valleys and the peaks. So you find that communities that have been in, for example, Amherstburg was one of the lead communities in. They were involved in the program in 1998. And then through volunteer burnout and whatever, they're the backbone of every community, are the volunteers. They've re-energized themselves, and as Charlie said, through workshops, and that's part of my mandate, is to bring workshops out into Ontario and introduce the program in its fullness to all these communities. They're back re-engaged because they've rebuilt their volunteer base. They've always seen the value in it, but seeing the value and having the wherewithal to do it might be 2 different things. But now they're seeing we've got to re-engage, so they are, and we're extremely pleased. Just a bit of a background. You talked about the amount of communities in the world.
Yes.
If I can just switch gears and maybe go to the national, we have a national competition as well, which is coast to coast. You'll have communities in British Columbia of the same size as a community in Nova Scotia going head to head. And our judges actually go to both centers, evaluate both centers, and we have a national convention. This year it's in Kamloops, British Columbia. And the same thing, only on a different scale as the province, happens nationally. And then, this is all part of the sign I'm building for Charlie in Leamington.
Excellent.
The next step would be the international. I have communities, or Communities in Bloom have communities in Canada that are going head to head with small communities of their same size in Japan, in the Netherlands, in Austria, in Great Britain, in Ireland. And when all of these people get together, talk about camaraderie and community, you see it as its best at each level. It's a little different locally, It's the same, but a little bit different. It's nice when you need translators at a symposium because they're from all over the world.
Wow.
So you celebrate diversity, just like your program in Leamington. We celebrate diversity by our international competitions. So there's always the next step to go. The only thing I wish for Leamington that I saw a shortcoming of is the passion that I see lacking in Charlie.
Well, maybe this will be that moment that will help spur that little extra bit of passion.
That's in jest. I know it's
Yes,
just.
yes. David, I just wanted to say that he mentioned international competition. Chatham Kent won the national competition in 2010 and is now in international competition this year.
Yep.
Wow.
We are up against South Korea. South Korea,
South Korea.
and a place out in British Columbia, Kelowna. And Chatham Kent is a population of 110,000 in the whole municipality, so it's up against other communities that are 110,000, and that's how they break up the communities in Bloom, is that you go against communities that are in the same population range. So little Chatham Kent next door is up against international competition.
Wow,
so
congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to start paying more attention to this. This
yeah.
is
It's a real binding, once people get the idea of what it's about. You're just trying to say, this is the good stuff that's happening in our town.
Exactly.
And letting people, and I think once you get, when I introduced Communities in Bloom, the first reaction is, well, you're not making me do something. I said, no, I just want to know what you're doing. I'm like the detective. All we're trying to do is find out what is happening.
Yeah.
You don't have to necessarily do anything more than just tell us what we're doing, and that's the beauty of it, is to let the people know of all those good things that are happening that we're already doing, but we're all doing it in little pieces all over the place, and this is a way of bringing all those together under one umbrella and envelope.
It actually ties us all together, because everything on Earth is tied to a plant. And for us to be able to showcase that and show it off and dress up our local communities.
And there are so many jewels that are being done in sort of silence and back behind. And when you do a Communities in Bloom through the community, you find these little jewels. The committees go along and they find these little jewels. And we've heard this a couple of times this weekend with some of the committee members. I didn't even know we had this until our committee found it. Wow. And like Charlie says, people will then say, well, I've been doing this for years. Well, how come nobody else knew about it? And this is where Communities Bloom brings those things out.
And that's part of the building out of the knowledge base.
Yes.
And unless people know, like, this is what we do, well, now they have a place where they can email us to let us know. Yeah. Pete Kuramato and his farm, and he does the types of organic growing and everything. I had no idea that was going on, but we toured that. And Bob McCracken, his farm, in the century-old farm, and the Leamington Mercia Leamington Mercia Historical Museum out, on the 9th. There's so many great things. Even the Sunflower Country Cafe at Blythewood, that's over 100 years old, and that had it. And we brought the judges in, and I had some music playing. We had some muffins and Wendy Dusher. We had a great time there. But all these places, whether it's Highline Mushrooms or Nature Fresh or Seacliff Energy, we toured all the businesses, and we looked at residents, and we talked to them. And I think one of the greatest things, we were at Henry Park, and there was a gentleman weeding Henry Park just because he felt it was a needed, and it wasn't. I didn't plant the guy there.
Wow.
And he was there. We came by and we talked about Henry Park and how that got developed by neighborhood action and action plans and the synergies between various groups and the schools.
Beautiful.
And we had a person who was a neighbor was there weeding the park.
Well,
He felt, I'm part of that park, I'm part of the neighborhood, I'm weeding, and that's the type of pride that comes out.
yeah. Well, Communities in Bloom.
That's it.
It's just showing that there's more to it than just plants. There's actual bringing the community together.
That's only one.
Yeah.
That's only one of many elements. The word that comes to mind really, Dave, is contagious. It does become very contagious. Success breeds success. Part of our job, Kathy and mine, is as judges, is to assist and work with the local representative committees and give them strategies that we've learned to be successful over time to present this to some of the decision makers. Charlie and I have over the past been elected officials within our own municipalities, and sometimes those are the ones that really need to know. So what we're doing is we talked this morning, we follow up our visit with just a review and a recap with the entire committee, and part of the initiatives that came out of that was, let's have the community prepare a cost-benefit analysis and an emotional benefit analysis as to what Communities in Bloom can do for the entire community, the entire municipality, and put that into a format that can be presented very eloquently to the decision makers who are the elected officials within the community. If we can get them to embrace the program, and a lot really do already, but if we can bring the odd stray lamb into the corral and really get a unanimous support, that's just another hurdle we overcome and move forward. But it's happening. It's evolving. It's exciting. It really is. And I use the word contagious. It's contagious too.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, we're going to be right back after a short break. And welcome back. So, Ray, where do we go from here?
Dave, where we go from here is the symposiums that will take place, which captures all of our judging, our results for all of these great communities. Provincially, as I mentioned, we're going to be going and holding our symposium the latter part of September in Perth, Ontario, and we hope to have all the judges there, and we encourage the elected officials to join them because they're a very significant part of the process. And at that event, they have a gala dinner, a few special educational sessions, ending up with the announcement of the champions in their categories and the awarding of blooms. I will make a commitment, and thank you for having us all here today. I will, through you, inform you of the results of those communities that are closest and dearest to you, so that you could share that with your viewing audience. If you would, that would be fantastic.
Excellent.
Nationally, we're in Kamloops, British Columbia, and those communities that are involved in the national program, which we hope in the very near future, I'm back to that sign I'm going to put in Charlie's community someday. In terms of the national program, we'll be announcing those as well. And then internationally, we make those announcements at our national symposium in Kamloops as well. So it's a great program, I guess, in summary. It's been a privilege for us as judges, if I may speak for Kathy and myself. And on a personal note, congratulations, Charlie, for such a supreme effort. Congratulations for your 5 Bloom Award last year. And as soon as I see if your check cashes I'll see what we can do about this coming year.
He's a great team guy. We've had a lot of laughs over this last few days.
Yes,
Life is too short not to have some fun.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And that's
Gotta
part
have
of
a good one.
what the engaging thing is with the program in Communities in Bloom, is enjoy the work, enjoy the trip as you go through. So I'll make sure that you get, Dave, the results, and if you wish to share that with your audience, and thank you very much for giving us this forum.
Yes, thank you. And we would be extremely interested in the results.
You will have them, sir.
Kathy, anything you'd like to add?
Well, judging brings the connotation of, as one of the waitresses at one of the events we were at this last couple of days, she said, "I'll give you my tickets later on." And I just want to say that judging, it's the wrong word in a way. It should be an evaluator, because we're here to evaluate the community. We're not here to say this is right and this is wrong. We're here to give encouragement, to say, you're doing this right, but if you tweak this just a little bit, it might be just a little bit better. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help, we're here to encourage. We're not here to say, oh, this is wrong and you can't do this anymore. Or, you know, we want you to do it this way. This is not what we as judges are here for. We're here to help and to encourage.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to start off with just thanking the people and the good people of Leamington, the businesses, the residents, the institutions, everybody who helped bring this together. And they volunteered their time, they volunteered their goods, or they volunteered their money too to help. But it could never have been achieved without the people and the support of the businesses in Leamington, and especially our municipal council. And it's a community effort. And I'd like to secondly thank all the members of my committee. They are just first rate, and it's just a beautiful and working environment. And we've got some very, very dedicated, very, very smart, very, very just community-minded people. And it's been a pleasure working with them and to be their spokesperson. And thirdly, I'd like to thank the judges for taking the time out to evaluate. It's been a great opportunity. To me, it's a pleasure because I have the great, and our community has the way of saying, this is our town, this is how good we are. And it's nice to have the backing of the town behind you and having these things to show. And I really encourage the people of our municipality to go on our website, communitiesinbloomleamington.ca, and they can look at the profile book. They can see all those good things that are happening in our municipality. Pass on the pay it forward signs and thank your neighbor for doing a good job. And send us in the email cib@mdirect.net, cib@mdirect.net, and to show us these residences and these businesses that are doing a good job so that we can then give them the best curb appeal award in the fall. And that's and thank you for the people who have sent them in, because they have given us great emails back saying, geez, you know, we've all of a sudden have somebody put this thing on my lawn and I don't know what it's all about. Then we have an opportunity to talk to them, and then they walk away like, wow, somebody actually thought we were that good. And I said, yes, somebody who, other than me, I don't know who, put this on your lawn. And that's the type of thing, is that there's no better type of recognition by somebody who's anonymous, who then puts it and saying, you're doing a good job. And whether it's a 30-foot frontage or 130-foot frontage, doesn't matter. It's what you do with what you have and taking pride in it. And those are the three areas. And also for allowing us the opportunity to share this and with the community. And I certainly encourage all communities in Ontario, across Canada, to get involved with the communities in Bloom. There's nothing but positives from this, because there's the three model: people, plants, and pride. And how can you not go by?
If I may make one,
Yeah.
just a second kick at the cat. Charlie mentioned people, plants, and pride. I want to underline, and on the next document, it will be passion. And I in jest made a comment about passion, but the people we see, they're passionate. And bless them for being so passionate, because it's so encouraging to see. A little more, but just quickly, on judging. Unfortunately, Charlie doesn't have us just for the time we're here in judging in 2 days. He inherits us for the entire year.
Uh-oh.
If you get
Yes.
if you get engaged, I know, I've just scared him. If you engage your community in Communities in Bloom, you get the judges and all of our resources at Communities in Bloom, Ontario, as a resource for the entire year. It is my intention, I told the committee, and Kathy and I did, we're going to come back up after the symposium, and as mentors to the community, we're going to come back up and we're going to discuss what are the gold star things that happens. What are the things that will, back to my, allow me to bring that sign up and put it at the outside of your town. How can we get you there? So when you engage with the Communities in Bloom judges, you've got us for the entire year, and our task is to make you better, is to make you more inclusive, and to do the best you possibly can. So, Charlie, I think you already knew that, but you have to put up with us for a few more months.
That's quite all right.
Which is our
I mean, it's a-
pleasure.
It's our pleasure to have you. We're looking forward to having you back and really to kind of go over, as you say, the
Exactly.
evaluation and suggestions and all the good points. And really, it's a benchmark of
Yes.
where you're at.
Yes.
And it's tweaking because we can draw on the knowledge of the judges because they've been around and they see other communities. And I think it's anything to be healthy is to sit there and say, this is what we do. Can we do this a little better, or can we tweak this, or try something different? Because you know, we're taking the benefit of an organization that's global,
Yes.
and asking what is going on in Kamloops, what is going on in Cape Breton, or Charlottetown. They're doing stuff there. Maybe we can learn. I got the pay it forward signs from Godrich, their idea.
Excellent.
And then we changed it somewhat to what we wanted. So all these types of things that we can benefit in a positive way, what other communities are doing, and then adapt it to what we can do in Leamington. And that's the great part of it, being part of the communities in Bloom.
It's team.
That's
Yes.
it, yeah.
Well, I think we can all hope that there's going to be a fair number of people that will view this, and it may actually spark a little bit of creativity in them. And while they may not be ready for this year, they might be on the lookout for
Yeah,
Mr.
well, that's
Wright
good.
next year.
Exactly.
We're actually thinking very seriously of one of our functions at CIB Ontario is to conduct workshops throughout the province.
Well, that would be excellent.
I think, and again, I will connect through you and your good offices. If we do schedule a workshop, we certainly will send a memoranda out to all the municipalities, but I will definitely make sure, Dave, that you have a copy of
you.
when and where, so that your audience can see that as well. And we love new people. We love new communities.
And I really hope that here at CFTV that we can help bring your message out there to the world
you.
and
Thank
to
you.
the communities around us, and maybe we can get more participation, and possibly we can do something with that international
Absolutely,
thing.
yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Just a
Yes.
thought.
Thank you.
I'm Dave Hillier, and we've been here with Mr. Charlie Wright and Miss Kathy Smyth and Ray Hurd from Communities in Bloom. They've been judging for the last 2 days here in Leamington, and they're currently on their way to Amherstburg now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.